Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim wa la fahma lana illa ma fahamtana innaka antal jawadul kareem. Dear brothers and sisters, auditors of Sia Radio, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. With you, your brother Ben Halim Abdurrauf for our fourth episode in Living on Qur'an, and we are talking about Surah Al-Baqara. And in this surah, Allah is giving us 5 stories where Allah revives dead people, and this is to show the power and the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. And we have reached the story of Dawood alayhi salam, and how he spent all his life of prophet and king fighting, and Allah Ta'ala gave him a special miracle for that, is that he uses the iron and shapes the iron with his own hands. Allah Ta'ala made the iron tender for him, and Allah Ta'ala taught him وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ صَنْعَةَ لَبُوسٍ لَكُمْ, taught him how to make shields and make weapons. So the shields and weapons that his army had were much better than those of the enemies. Even in time of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you could read in certain stories that such a big warrior, Arab warrior, had a shield of Dawood alayhi salam. So those shields were so great they could last over 1,000 years being used, mashallah. So after Dawood alayhi salam, his son and inheritor Sulaiman alayhi salam, Allah gave him a much larger and much stronger kingdom. Allah Ta'ala gave him the power on wind, so the wind could take him. وَلِسُلَيْمَانَ الرِّيحَ غُدُوُّهَا شَهْرٌ وَرَوَاحُهَا شَهْرٌ. And to Sulaiman we have given the wind, he will take him 1 month distance in the morning and 1 month in the afternoon. So he can go with his army, with his people, with his goods, with anything he wants. He will in 1 morning cross a distance that needs 1 month travel, and in the afternoon he will be back. So if you understand strategy of war and power of armies and empires, so the ability to move an army so fast into a very far away, that is very determinant to have the power over a great kingdom. So, and Allah Ta'ala gave him the ability, the kingdom over animals, so animals were obeying to him and he could speak with the animals. And also Allah Ta'ala gave him the power on jinns and shayateen, so he was using them for different great works, great achievements. وَآخَرُونَ مُقَرَّنُونَ فِي الْأَصْفَادِ. And other shayateen, very bad shayateen, were just tied up so that they don't harm people. Allah Ta'ala gave him this great power, and that was the first time that Banu Israel reached such power on earth. And that is what Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Isra: وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَى بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَّتَيْنِ وَلَتَعْلُنَّ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا. We have decreed for Bani Israel that you're going to reach twice a very high position on earth and do lots of harm. So this is the first high position Banu Israel reached, and now we're about to reach the third story in Surah Al-Baqarah, where Allah Ta'ala revives the dead people. After Sulaiman alayhi salam, the religious situation of Banu Israel went down very fast. So after Sulaiman alayhi salam, there was no prophet king. There were kings continuously, and but they're not prophets. There were other prophets, and some kings were following the prophets, some kings were not following the prophets. So the religion was going down, and also all the shayateen were released. And Sulaiman alayhi salam, in his lifetime, he has hidden the books of sorcery, of magic, under his throne, so to stop people using magic. But the shayateen took those books out from under the throne of Sulaiman alayhi salam and said, "Look, Sulaiman was governing you and was having power on us by sihr. He was a great sorcerer. That is his power that he has hidden under his throne." And people were going astray, and people got away from religion. Banu Israel went away from religion after Sulaiman alayhi salam, and they had a pact with the kingdom of Babylon, which is in Iraq. Actual Iraq was Babylon. And they betrayed that pact. So the king of Babylon came with his army and destroyed Israel, and destroyed Jerusalem, and destroyed and killed many of Banu Israel. And the survivors were taken as slaves all the way to Babylon, to Iraq. And amongst those survivors was Uzair alayhi salam, and he was 10 years old. And Uzair knew the Bible, not the actual Bible, but the Torah that Allah has given to Musa alayhi salam. He knew it by heart. And in this catastrophe, Banu Israel totally lost the Torah. They totally lost it. All their writings disappeared, and the only remaining of Torah was in the memory of Uzair alayhi salam. That was the only memory of Torah. So they went as slaves to Babylon. And when Uzair alayhi salam reached 40 years old, that is 30 years later, Allah Ta'ala gave him prophecy, and Allah Ta'ala told him, so you go back to Jerusalem, and Banu Israel are going to come back, and Jerusalem is going to return as it was. So he ran away with his donkey and made all the way down to Jerusalem. And as he was coming through a mountain, when he turned at one time, he saw the city, and the city was destroyed before 30 years, and no one ever lived inside since that time. So it was left, it was just left. Even the dead people have not been buried, and the city was left in such destruction, in such bad state, and that hurt his heart, that hurt him so much. This beautiful, blessed city, saint city, built by Sulaiman alayhi salam, having all these miracles, all these signs of Allah Ta'ala, has become ruined. So he said, أَنَّا يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. How will Allah Ta'ala bring the city back to life once it has been destroyed? He said it not doubting on the power of Allah and the promise of Allah Ta'ala, but so sorry looking at this destruction, and now thinking that Allah told him to come back, and Jerusalem is going to come back as it was before. And he said, how is this possible? I am alone, I cannot do anything in the city, and Banu Israel are in slavery, so how can this happen? And he went into a cave in the mountain, and he lied down to take some rest from his journey, and he put his bread to eat, and he had some raisins that he pressed to make juice, and he lied down to have a siesta, to have a little nap before coming down to the city. And Allah Ta'ala made him die for 100 years, him and his donkey, and then brought him back to life. So what happened in those 100 years? Many things happened. What happened is that the king of Babylon married a woman from Banu Israel, and he had a son from her, and this son, he is called Cyrus the Second. Cyrus the Second. And when the father died, the son became king, and after some time, Cyrus the Second had pity over his cousins, over the Banu Israel, and told them, well, I want to free you. If you want to stay with me in Babylon, you can stay. If you want to come back to your earth in Palestine, you can go. They said, well, we prefer to go. So they went back. They went back to Palestine, and they searched for Uzair that have preceded them so many years before, but they did not find him. So they rebuilt the city, and they made everything new, and made back the buildings, and cleaned up everything that was destroyed, so that the city was shining brand new, and they lived on again for years and years, and all the activity came back. All the activities were back, and that is when Uzair alayhi salam came back to life. And in the beginning, Allah Ta'ala created only his eyes and his tongue to speak, and Allah Ta'ala told him, how long did you stay? And he said, I stayed a day or less than a day. Maybe I just made my siesta. Maybe I was so tired from this journey that I slept up to the night and up to next day. And Allah Ta'ala told him, no, you have stayed 100 years. 100 years. And look at your bread and your juice. It is still fresh. It is still there. This is the power of Allah. Allah Ta'ala does what He wants, whatever He wants. This bread and juice that can only last 1 day or 2 or 3 is still fine, is still perfect, in perfect state. And Allah Ta'ala tells him, look at your donkey. And his donkey has gone back. There's nothing left from that donkey. And Allah Ta'ala shows him under his eyes, the bones come back, his skeleton, and then his organs, and then his flesh, and his skin, and the donkey rises up and makes his noise. And then Allah Ta'ala tells him, look at your own body. And with his eyes, he's looking at his body as his bones coming back together, and his organs coming back to their place, and his flesh, his muscles, and his skin, and he gets up in perfect state. And Allah Ta'ala tells him, now look at the city. So he walks out the cave in the mountain, and he sees the city, a day of market, of big market, where the people from nearby places have brought their cattle to sell, their products to sell, and people are screaming, and all the city is brand new, and there's no sign of war or any catastrophe that has happened there. And Allah Ta'ala told him, well, this is it. You were just asking, أَنَّ يُحْيِي هَذِهِ اللَّهُ بَعْدَ مَوْتِهَا. How will Allah bring the city back to life once it has been ruined, destroyed? So this is how. You just close your eyes, open your eyes. Allah has brought it back to life. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. This is the power of Allah Ta'ala. Allah has shown you that He can do what He wants. This ruined city is back to life. That bread and juice that should be destroyed in 2 days has lasted 100 years without any change. And your body that took so many years to become earth, Allah Ta'ala has reversed the process in a few seconds. In a few seconds, and your body has back to perfect state. Subhanallah. Allah Ta'ala can do what He wants, anywhere He wants. So this is the third story. This is the third story where Allah Ta'ala brings dead back to life in Surah Baqarah. And the fourth story is in one verse of Qur'an. Allah Ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَرَ إلى الذين خرجوا من ديارهم وهم ألوف حذر الموت فقال لهم الله موتوا ثم أحياهم. Did you not see those who have left their houses, and there were thousands of them, to run away from death, and Allah Ta'ala told them to die, and then He has brought them back to life. And what we know about this story is that it is some people of Banu Israel, they decided to run away from death, and ulama says it's either hunger or illness, disease, or from a war, from an enemy. Anyway, they're running away because they're afraid to die, and Allah Ta'ala made them all die, and by them brought them back to life to show them that is all in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. He does what He wants, and there were thousands of them, and Allah Ta'ala brought them back to life by small groups. So the first group wakes up and sees everybody dead, and the next group wakes up and sees the others that are alive and all the others dead, and those who have lived, they see the next ones come back to life, the next ones come back to life, until they all came back to life. So they all have witnessed the phenomenon, how Allah has brought them all back to life. And the last story where Allah Ta'ala brings dead people back to death, dead people back to life in Surah Baqarah, is the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam, who's asking Allah to show him how Allah brings dead people back to life. And Allah Ta'ala says, well, are you not believers? He says, yes, but I want my heart to be in peace with this. I want to believe it without thinking and knowing, because I have seen it, and I know that Allah brings things back to life, and I don't want shaitan to make waswas to me. How is this possible after things and body is destroyed, etc. So I want to increase my iman. And Allah Ta'ala, look at this. Allah Ta'ala told him to take four birds of different types, and to slaughter them, to cut them, to mix them, and to put some parts in 4 different mountains, and then to call them all. And then all the parts came, and he had to keep the heads with him. So all the different parts came, and he came back together as bodies, and every body took his head, and they flew back in the air. So the question I'm asking you is that Allah Ta'ala could have told him to slaughter a sheep and to cut him into pieces and then bring him back to life, but Allah Ta'ala told him a very complicated process, because if I tell you go catch 4 birds, how do you think you're going to do? There's not a market for birds, and those birds are not a chicken and other goose and other birds you can bring up and that does not fly. No, you must catch them flying birds, and you must catch them alive. We will continue inshallah this story next time. May Allah Ta'ala accept us and guide us. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.